In week 8 of this class, we are going to transition from our definition writing to a new topic, cause and effect analysis. What I hope is the fun part of this week is that as we analyze causes and their effects, it's going to give us a chance to ask ourselves what is a good basis for claiming that something is an effect for something else, and what really is the cause-effect relationship? How does it all work? So we're going to start exploring this, but just to introduce us to the basic idea of cause and effect first, I'm going to give you just a thinking prompt. I don't need you to write your answers to this, but I do want you to take some time to meditate on this. I'm going to put up 3 different prompts, and I just want you to pick one of them, whichever one speaks to you. And I want you to think about your answer. Make sure you come up with a good, thoughtful response so that we can examine that in a moment. So go ahead, watch the prompts roll by, pause the video, think about it, and once you've had a chance to think up your answer, you can resume the video and we'll continue on from there. Alright, now that you have your response, whatever it is, I'd like to point out something that should be true of that response. There was a reason behind it. Maybe you like the 4th Rocky movie best because you like the villain, that huge Russian prodigy that killed Apollo Creed and now wants a piece of Rocky. If you responded to that second prompt, maybe what made you angry was that you felt the person you were speaking to wasn't listening to you. Or maybe you felt like he or she was being unfair or selfish. If the third prompt spoke to you, maybe you enjoy hiking because you enjoy the peace and quiet of the forest. Whatever prompt you chose, the important point to note here is that every one of those choices is true for a reason. Your love of peace and quiet is the cause, and the effect is that it creates your enjoyment of hiking over other activities. The terrifying glare of that villain in Rocky IV is the cause that produces the effect that you enjoy Rocky IV more than any of the other Rocky movies. We analyze causes and their effects every single day without even realizing it. If we can start being more conscious of what makes up a cause and effect relationship and become better at recognizing the link between causes and their effects, we'll be better equipped to make a strong point that others will take seriously. And it will also help us become better learners, because if we can look at the world around us and make more accurate analyses of what we're seeing around us, it's going to help us learn better. So it's not only going to make us more persuasive to others, it's also going to help us educate ourselves, because we all want to be lifelong learners, of course. Let's start our exploration into what makes a good cause and effect analysis by looking at some of the goals of a cause and effect analysis. We'll look at 2 today. First, we want to look for logical sequences or connections between 2 or more occurrences or events. For example, if I notice that the apple tree in my yard tends to produce its best fruit in very dry summers, I can try to pinpoint some of the potential causes that produce that effect. Maybe I notice first when I examine my tree that there is less or maybe no bug damage to any of the fruit. Well, of course, no bug damage is going to be a cause that is helping to produce the effect that my apple tree produces better fruit, because I certainly would rather eat apples with no bug holes in them. But there is probably a cause that created that lack of bug damage. Maybe I'll explore a little further, and I'll also notice that in very dry summers, there tend to be fewer mosquitoes and other pesky insects. And maybe I try to draw a link to show that this happens because those bugs rely on shallow pools of rainwater so that they can lay their eggs and hatch them. Maybe upon digging a little deeper and tasting the apples on my tree, because I want to I want to make sure I'm doing a good test here. Maybe I'll also observe that the apples taste sweeter than usual, and maybe I can explore the idea that this happens because when there is less water for the tree to absorb, the sugar concentration in the fruit becomes higher. Of course, at this point, I'm just spitballing. I'm considering possible links that I can explore. None of these are proven yet. Maybe I'll find out that one or even all of the links that I'm trying to draw are not actually causes at all. But the important thing, when first considering a cause and effect analysis, is just to get curious, ask questions, and explore potential links. Let's practice this. I'd like you to brainstorm some effects that you see in our society today, or maybe just in your daily life, and what you consider to be their causes. Please be sure to pick a topic that genuinely interests you. It might take you a few minutes to decide what you would like to explore, but I think it's worth taking that extra time in pre-writing to really make sure you've got a topic that you can sink your teeth into, because it'll make it a more fun and enjoyable process for you as you start to develop your topic. So go ahead, pause this video, and consider some potential effects that you see and observe, and consider maybe just a couple causes that might contribute to those effects. Now that you have your potential causal links, you've identified an issue that you've observed and considered what are some of the contributing factors that create it, you are ready to consider the next goal of the cause and effect analysis. You want to weigh different potential causes together and pit them against one another as well to form more accurate links between the cause and effect relationship that you're exploring. It's understandable for people to want an easy answer for the things that happen around us every day. Unfortunately, you often see a poor example of cause and effect analysis in the media every day, and it's because of this desire for finding easy solutions to everything around us. For example here, after the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, many news stations commented that assault rifles were the cause of that tragedy, and they often spoke as if assault rifles alone were the cause. Or when evaluating the constant violence that's always going on in the Middle East, we often see people point at terrorist extremists as the sole cause of the problem. Or another issue would be our public schools. They're often said to be failing. And it's often said that our public schools are failing because of standardized testing or bad parenting at home. The truth is, our world is a lot more complex than that, though. All three of those issues that I brought up are far more complicated than what people give them credit for. Almost any effect is going to have been produced by a wide variety of causes. The Sandy Hook shooting happened because of a large variety of contributing factors that added up to a great tragedy. If terrorism was the sole cause of violence in the Middle East, then we would have been able to solve that problem by this time, because it would have been a simple issue to address. The reality is that many causes weave together to produce a very complicated issue that entangles different viewpoints on culture, religion, and even issues like imperialism. So recognizing this, my recommendation to you is that when you begin exploring whatever topic you choose, Try hard to cast a wide net and consider a variety of causes for your effect. This will ensure that, as we have already discussed this semester, you will be considering your argument from all the different angles, and you will also be recognizing any opposing viewpoints as well. This will ensure that you will be able to come to a more intelligent and effective conclusion regarding your issue, because you'll have a better and more complex understanding of the different causes and how they come together to produce one or maybe multiple effects. So now that we have a better understanding of our second goal as we do a cause and effect analysis, let's return to the example cause and effect topic that you chose in the earlier prompt. Now that you have a basic starting point where you identified an issue that you have observed in the world around you and brainstormed a couple potential causes, let's try to brainstorm more potential causes that could create that effect you noted, or at least contribute to that effect. Once again, I'll ask you to pause this video as you complete that task, and keep the video paused until you've had time to do a good job and come to a good conclusion and a good point to move on from. Alright, at this point you should have a good base to jump from as you begin delving deeper into this issue of cause and effect analysis. You're ready to start the fun part now, where you explore the issue and get to weigh out which causes do you think do have a more powerful effect, which ones do not. Maybe some you'll find don't have any effect at all, and you can look at those issues more as common misconceptions. Maybe you'll find that some of the causes have a very powerful influence on the effect, while others have a lesser effect, but they're still important to note. So at this point, you've put together a good base to start from. But as we get going here, in addition to practicing with these basic concepts for exploring cause and effect relationships, I would like you to have the opportunity to analyze someone else's cause and effect exploration as well. Now, don't expect this to be a perfect example. I want you to read the example cause and effect analysis I have provided you with this week and consider where the author should try casting a wider net and consider additional potential causes or additional potential side effects of those causes. I would also like you to note areas where you see the writer doing a good job of laying out the causal links for you as a reader. Try to learn from both the strong and weak points in this example so that you can get a better idea of what to do as you start your own analysis. Happy analyzing!